Hello, everybody, and welcome back to SEO Conspiracy.com with Dixon Jones
and Laurent or Laurent in the, the English pronunciation.
Rent. Okay,
Laurent, right. Low rent. You don't pay a lot of money for where you live.
For any links from Laurent. Okay, I get it. Okay, which brings us to our topic of the day.
Yeah, what is left? What is left of the Black Hat? What is left today in 2020 of Black Hat SEO? I assume where I come from. I come from the Black Hat world, but I've always been what I call a search engine hacker. I never needed really to use Black Hat SEO as a revenue stream. I've always been interested in it. I've used it in, for example, like SEO competitions, when you got a couple of months to rank on a keyword and no roles, so negative SEO all the way, all those stuff. But it's just a personal ethic where the pollution of the web, I've done a certain amount. I've tested a bunch of stuff. I've done it all. The shortcuts are getting shorter. It's less and less worth it.
When you say, are you saying the shortcuts are getting shorter, or are you saying the shortcuts are getting harder?
Well, it's shortcuts are getting shorter, meaning there are less and less of them. There's nothing new under the sun. Okay. There's nothing new. There's just less and less because Google got smarter of it, because Penguin and Panda disgusted 90% of the people who would. It's basically before Panda, Penguin, and after those 2013, 2012. That's when it all changed. Because especially because of links. I was able with a tool called XRummer, a Russian tool, 2,000 links per minute. It was basically
and off it went. It was ridiculous. Basically, blog links, cross
forum profiles, mainly stuff like that. And we went from 2,000 links a minute. Today, aggressive link building, one link every 3 days, one link a day, maybe. That's like high aggressive link building. That's a big difference, from 2,000 links a minute to one link every other day. And I don't see anything different.
I know I still see lots of stuff in link building. I mean, you showed me the the link sellers on the popular web forum. They still seem to be doing very, very well. And I have to say that a good PBN is still very, very effective. It just is. But you're right. It's Google is maybe better at spotting a lot of those PBNs. But I think at the same time, they have gone back from a lot of the Penguin lockdown. When the original lockdown came down in Penguin, I had sites had customers that, came flocking to us because another SEO had been doing things in a different way. And this was way back when I had an agency. And all of a sudden they were, banned. You could only see them in Google if you typed in the whole domain with the .com or the .co.uk or whatever. And they definitely pulled back a huge amount from that, to the point at which I think that PBNs have got a second life, and maybe it's a much more dynamic thing now with Google. It's figuring out little networks that it should be discounting and stuff, and it's trying to possibly hide the link equity. But certainly, I see plenty of sites ranking that can only be ranking there through cloaked links, if nothing else.
Oh, and you got so many ways to be shady about it. For example, you open up a directory or a link shortener tool. A directory. People submit their links, their content, and you do cloaked 301 redirect, meaning the link, the page rank juice is not going towards the site submitted, but toward the site you want to link. Same with URL shortener. Same with. So you got a lot of shade. What I'm saying is there is nothing new under the sun. What I saw in 2004 is the same stuff in 2020. Those blasts that we used to do, thousands of links in one shot. Now people do it they drip feed it. They do like one every day, one blah blah. They're just automatic links, and where I draw the line. But I'm 50 years old. I'm not 16 living with my parents. And maybe if I was 16 living with my parents, I would see it differently. But the only real true black hats today are the hackers, the people who exploit vulnerabilities, algorithmic flaws in there are flaws in the CMS, and they're all public. They inject links, they inject content, they hack the website. You're going to see a whole like proper website from a little non-profit or Chamber of Commerce or something starting to rank for casino, Viagra, or whatever you want to make it rank for. That's illegal. That's 90% of that is done from Russia or countries all around that.
I was going to say there's an awful lot of state-sponsored black hat, not necessarily for SEO, but there's a lot of state-sponsored black hat stuff going on that is quite extreme. And I think maybe not state-sponsored, but what is happening, which is black hat, and it's only black hat in some countries and not in others, exactly. is the manipulation of minds. So the idea that it's more born out of social media, social media misconceptions, where you've got groups of people that think that something that obviously isn't true is true, because they've managed to convince themselves, they only talk to themselves, and they have their conspiracy theories that are, completely off whack with the rest of the rest of the world. And I think that is happening quite a lot. So there's a lot of manipulation, and that can lead to online content that's incorrect as well. I mean, to the point at which even Donald Trump's had to have his Twitter posts fact checked by Twitter. This is incredible.
Yeah, but did you see the response?
No, well, by the time this comes out, this will be in the past now. But
no.
Yeah, he's trying to ban all the. It'll be interesting to see whether he's managed to ban anything.
He's trying to. He wants social media to start being responsible for the content they host.
Yeah, well, he better start with himself early, hadn't he? At that point.
Yeah. But we don't do politics. We don't do religion here. We only do digital marketing.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
right,
Black Hat. So to be clear, in my opinion, the real true black hats today are the ones who are doing illegal stuff, hacking websites. Maybe if you don't destroy the website, you just put a page with all your links, that's illegal. We've done a video about should you follow the Google guidelines. Please go watch it. That's our point of view. Google is not the law. Now, within the black hat world, yes, you have the true black hat. Then you got that trend today is, it's sexy to be a black hat. It's appealing. It's like, there's this. The shortcuts are getting shorter, meaning it works less and less until the day. If it starts to work too well, Google is going to put a tracker on you. They're going to basically put a Trojan horse. They're going to know nothing you're going to do is going to work. Nothing. It's not going to work like you can put 100 on site. They're not going to stick for one day. That's the way they do it. It's crazy. They're gonna disgust you if you're really a successful black hat. Why? Because out of the thousands of footprints that they can follow, the one, and I'm gonna put it face camera, the one footprint that you can't hide It's how you get paid. The money. It's
Follow the money.
always
Absolutely.
follow the money.
Yeah. Follow the money.
That footprint, you can't only organize crime, only people with a lot of cash and even their own banks, right? They can build up companies after companies after companies and rebuild that footprint. If you can't, I mean, once you got the ID card from Auntie Josie, then when you started a new PayPal account with your cousin, and it's not gonna last very long, right?
It's really not. I have this is going back well over a decade now. So a long time back. So obviously Google's got a lot cleverer since then. But before Google Author and Google Plus, and I had a friend of mine who was a black hat without the illegal. So he was as close to breaking every rule that Google could give, but he wasn't, as far as I'm aware, trying to break any laws. So, but he eventually got banned on a whole load of stuff, and so. He ended up throwing away his computer, buying a brand new computer, setting up the computer, and he said within 2 hours Google had worked out who he was. He didn't sign up for any of his accounts and stuff, but it had picked up who he was by his patents. Or he assumes by his patents, because of course he was looking at the same websites as he was before, and there is only one person in the world that looks at that website, that website, that website, and that website. Chances are it's the same person, and if it's not the same person, it's so nearly the same. Google might as well treat them in the same group.
Thousands of footprints you leave behind. Thousands.
Yeah.
There was this guy, forgot his name, he's an Australian. He used to work with Matt Cutts, and he came out with a tool that it's out now. He sold it. So it was called Netcomber. It was made to detect networks of websites. And he was using, I spoke to him, what he told me is his tool is about 10% of what they have at Google. And he was using 3,000 footprints. 3,000. So 3,000. Imagine what they have. You can hiding from Google, especially the money footprint, is very, very difficult to hide unless why they are successful at it, because it's bots who crawl the web, find the vulnerabilities, inject the code all automatically, so there's no human leaving a footprint. And then they do companies after company. They change over everything, and that way. But 90 and even maybe 95% of the dirty spam black hat is made in Russia or around this area of the world. All the rest just playing around, and after a while they get disgusted because it works less and less, and they quit or they start to do something else. Then you got the worst kind. Christine, our guest from a couple of weeks ago,
she's not the worst kind. She's not the worst kind at all. No.
No, but she calls it the ass hat.
Yeah.
What is the ass hat by Christine is the one who is using shady techniques and put in danger the company, the jobs, the integrity of the company. You are not 16 years old living in your parents. No, you.
I think this is the most important way to look at it. You've got to realize the long-term damage you're doing when you're trying to deceive people or Google. Deception is, deception becomes legally a gray area, so you could argue that it's a black hat. But if deception just screws up your brand, your ability to build value over time, and so everything you're doing is short term. And it's examples like pop-ups taking over the page. So you thought you were landing on a page that was about drinks, and it turns out to be a porn page or whatever. Things like that are absolutely never going to allow you to build up a proper brand that's going to last any particular length of time, I think. And it's important to build up a brand, even if you're starting out new. I mean, it's not difficult. You've got to start somewhere. I mean, InLinks only started, 7 months ago, and it's only me going out there and talking about it. But we've got somewhere, and the industry is starting to hear about who we are. You've got the same with Rank for Win. It's you. You're hustling. You're building the brand. You're building the image. You can do it, guys. You don't have to assume that everything is short term. You can build a brand that will last, and that's if you don't, then you are being an arsehole. Yeah.
Well, listen up, guys. If you don't believe me, search for Dark SEO Team. If you don't believe that I got the credentials to know what I'm talking about, the Dark SEO Team there were 7 of us, French. We were real search engine hackers. We put out real flows but the way white hat hackers do it, not to make money, just to tell the world and to tell Google there's something wrong with your algorithm here. It was mainly shady redirect, how to steal the page rank, how to negative SEO website. In parentheses, all those flaws are still out there. They didn't fix them ever. But out of those 7, and out of my group of maybe 30 or 40, out of the 7, only 1, me, is still talking about the past, still assume and is proud of where I come from. All the other 1 clean out the reputation. And out of the dozens and maybe 30 or 40 guys, pure black hat from back in the early 2000s, only 1 is still today saying, yeah, I'm a black hat. All of them tried to clean up, and went really cleaning out. And even Judith Lewis, who, wrong camera. Even Judith Lewis, who interviewed you're going to see this video a lot later, but she started, it's interesting. Do you know the story, Dixon?
I know a lot about Judith, and I go back.
But how she started, it's crazy because she started as a black hat, but back in the day where you put white text on white page, right? So that's early 2000, really early 2000. And she started to have a public face, public talks and all. So she invented this chocolate influencer persona to do that magic trick. While she was cleaning out the black hat stuff, people were looking at the chocolate thing. Then this chocolate thing became real. She became a real influencer as a chocolate blogger.
She loves talking about chocolate.
yes. And she's the queen of, she's a diva. Judith is a diva. But she tells the story how she started as a black hat, but while she was cleaning out the footprint of the black hat stuff that was pretty shady, she became that chocolate diva. And everybody is cleaning up, but because I always was a search engine hacker and not really trying to make money monetizing the black hat part, I don't care. I'm not ashamed of it because I can look at myself in the mirror being straight up with myself, and nobody can find something in my foot. And trust me, the way they track me, they would have found it by now. So play around. It's fun to beat the algorithms, but try, in my opinion, try to do it in a search engine hacker way instead of just this ridiculous short-term quick win Black Hat SEO that appeals sexy to you right now, but when you're going to look back 5 years from now, you're going to be ashamed of what you did, and you wish you didn't do it. That's the honest, pure truth.
Think about it this way: every person that's standing for elections and stuff these days, there's somewhere a picture of them in the past, drunk in an alleyway, and if there's in Leeds or whatever, then that's going to come back to haunt them. What you're doing can leave a lot of footprints behind. Yeah.
Problem is, in life, you can only look behind. So we're old enough now that we can look in the past, but all those youngsters listening to us, it sounds very sexy.
Yeah.
And it is. It's fun. But trust me, if there's only one lesson to learn from that experience, is that if you can, I'm not ashamed to look back, because what I did was just proper. It was the proper way to do this Black Hat SEO thing, showing the world that there's something wrong with algorithms. But when you want just to make money, and if you're good enough, if you really want to be good enough, well, you got to find the flaws. We found the flaws. We are the first ones. If you're just using them, you are what we call script kiddies in the hacking world, and you can't be proud of yourself just being a script kiddie, being a follower. You got to find, and basically what it comes down to, 99.9% of this stuff today is, I find a way to put a link on the website of the BBC or the NASA. That's the only thing they're proud of right now. That's the only thing to discover is, I can find what we call a spot. I find a new spot. Then you tell one friend about it, and then it's done. That's the problem. If you find a nice spot to put a backlink, keep it for yourself. Because once you start talking about it, it's dead. Remember, just you speak to one person, it's over. So what's useful? Just for yourself? You can tell the world about it because you're so proud of what you found? No point. And it's a short term.
I know we've probably run way past our time on this one, but there's another way to look at life. And we see it as now we're older, we see it. But if you wake up and you go through your day and try to go to bed making the world just a tiny bit better than when you woke up, then you're not going to have mental health problems. But if you sit there and don't try and make that world just a little bit better for somewhere, then you haven't got any purpose. You don't have a purpose in life. You might have some purpose to try and make yourself some more money, but that in itself doesn't achieve anything. So you need enough money to survive, and then and you need a purpose in life, and you need to do something that's going to be memorable and leave legacy. And if your legacy is just spam, you haven't really done yourself a lot of justice. You might as well just find something better to do.
Karma is a bitch, guys. Karma is a bitch.
And bites you in the ass every single time. What are we talking about next time?
We're going to talk about topic that a little bit comes from this discussion is what's the difference between algorithmic and manual penalties, Google. Okay. Because you got penalized, but are you penalized? Were you hit by the core update? Is it algorithmic? Is it manual? Is it a hidden manual penalty? Lots of good stuff to come.